And welcome back to Scotty Sports Park, or Scotty Sports Network, of course, at Scotty Sports Park for the second game of our doubleheader here today at Scotty Park for the softball team. Ready to roll for the action as Highland looks to go 2-0 and get the sweep against KCK here at home, as earning a Game 1 victory 9-4 for Highland. Try to get you an update on the baseball matchup as well, as they are in action still against Ottawa JV. But Game 1 of our doubleheader today is in the books, and Highland winning that one, getting out to a 7-0 lead, going on to win 9-4, utilizing 10 hits to produce those 9 runs they did. They got some free passes as well to be able to take part of their advantage throughout the course of the contest to take care for themselves. Batting leadoff is a gal that was very hard to record out in the first matchup between these two, and that is Natalie Cohen. Natalie Cohen, she reached base safely 3 different times in the first game of the doubleheader here today. Was 3 for 4 in the showdown with 3 singles and 1 run scored over that time frame. She's playing second base in this showdown. Third baseman Callie Jacobson will bat in the number 2 spot. Jaden Lindgren will bat third and play out in right field. Shortstop Kaylee Arnzen will bat in the 4 spot. Of course, Reagan Ham inside the circle fires a first pitch strike, swing and a miss, and strike 1 against Cohen. Reagan Ham getting the start inside the circle for Highland. Reagan, an Oskaloosa, Kansas native, a freshman, 5-0 inside the circle this year, is making her 7th start. She does have 1 complete game, and they check down and a swing and a miss again. Broke the plane enough for Cohen, didn't pull back in time, and an 0-2 count early on as Ham is able to get in motion the strike zone a couple of times early here in this one. Ham, 21 2/3 innings pitched thus far. This one shot straight up into the air. Third baseman Serena Salazar misplays it, and it's bobbled there and safe over at first. Cohen will be on the error.
Now batting number 7, the third baseman.
So E5 for Salazar, and that ultimately leads to an early base runner here for KCK. Finishing out the lineup, Jenny Mullins will bat in the number 5 spot and play over at first. Of course, batting 6th will be Shannon Brown, your center fielder as well. First pitch on the way from Ham. They try for the bunt. It's bumped up into the air and tracked in by the catcher. Nice play by Cassidy Greer. Greer in foul territory, catching the foul ball bunt on the first base side. Nice job by Greer for out number 1. After Brown, batting 7th is Caitlin Cottrell. She is pitching for KCK. Runner remains over at first. And Ham steadies to fire the first pitch delivery to the right fielder as a called strike 1. Paris Forsey will be batting in the number 8 spot for KCK. She's out in left field. And the DP, again, is Aspen Salinas. Defensively, you've got Brittany Beck also playing here today. She is catching yet again for KCK. Swing and a miss there that time. And that is strike 2. 1 away, 1 on off the error. Off the misplayed ball by Serena Salazar on the defensive end at third base. I'll set the defense for Highland in a moment as Ham fires in another one. Swing and a miss, down on strikes. And now 2 outs with the runner over at first. Battery mate to Ham, who's inside the circle pitching, is Cassidy Greer. I mentioned her at catcher. Over at first base, Lexi Hodop. And also second baseman, Cami Zimmerman. Third baseman, Serena Salazar. And Maya Daniels is the shortstop as the flex player for Highland. Out in the outfield from left to right field, Alyssa Wesley moves over to left field for Game 2. She started in center field in Game 1. Kendra Baldridge gets to start in Game 2 out in center. And Sydney Anderson starting out in right field. 1-0 delivery on the way. This one belted out towards right field. Charging in is Wesley, and Wesley hauls it home. Wesley charges in on that play out in left field, and after the opening error that leads to the early base runner for KCK, nothing comes of it. 3 consecutive outs after that. 1 left on as we go to the bottom of the first inning, and Highland in the driver's seat and we'll have an opportunity here to take the lead. And we go to the bottom of the first inning. Cassidy Greer, Kendra Baldridge, and Sydney Anderson will lead things off for Highland when they take the bats out the shoulder when we return on the Scotty Sports Network.
What is it that stays with Highland alums that make them want to come back and work there? Almost 40 Scotty alums are now Scotty employees, and that number increases every year. Highland President David Rice encourages and supports those who work there with a simple philosophy. You're hired to do a job, do it well. Supporting folks to do their jobs encourages them to meet Rice's simple but high standards. Consequently, Highland faculty, staff, and administration are all part of a supportive culture that helps each other do their jobs well. Check it out, Highland Community College, online at highlandcc.edu.
On to the bottom of the first inning we go. First crack at it with the bats here for Highland. Cassidy Greer catching in this showdown. She did finish the catching duties in game number 1. Didn't start as the catcher in game number 1 for Greer, but starts as the catcher here in this contest, the second game of our doubleheader today. Kendra Baldridge is in the number 2 spot, the center fielder for this showdown. Sydney Anderson batting in the 3 hole. Sydney got a start in the other game, but came out of the contest after just a couple of at-bats. Designated player for this one, Aubrey Hernandez, so won't be on the field capacity for Hernandez, but we'll get some swings of the bat here in this one. Batting 5th is the first baseman, Alexis Hodap. Also, the second baseman, Cammie Zimmerman, will follow suit after that. Reagan Ham will then bat in the number 7 spot and pitching. Of course, Serena Salazar batting 8th and playing at third base, and then batting 9th is Alyssa Wesley, the left fielder. First pitch ball, low and outside to Greer. A little bit of a different lineup here. A couple gals that didn't see action in the first game, seeing some action this time around. And the pitch goes outside. So, well played by Greer. Greer's enjoyed a pretty solid start to this year. 9 hits entering here in this doubleheader. Greer, of course, back in the matchup earlier, had a 2-for-3 performance. Hit by a pitch, reached on an error. She was on base all 4 times that she went to the plate. Couple of runs scored and an RBI attached to all of that, too. Called strike, painting the outside corner, and now 2-1 the count. Of course, pitching is Caitlin Crittrell in this showdown for KCK. She did not play at all in the first matchup, primarily more of a pitcher, but does play first and third as well. And that was ball 4 to Greer, so base on balls, leadoff walk. They had multiple walks to the Scotties in the first game. Cottrell has pitched 18 1/3 innings, entering today with a 1.91 ERA, so the best ERA on the team. Of course, significantly, 3 different gals have pitched. A few others have seen a little bit of brief action, but not too much this season on inside the circle for KCK. So, 1 on, nobody out, and on the move. Greer moving. They're going to throw down the second, but sliding in as the throw goes to the shortstop side and earns in covering. Was able to track it in, but not even apply the tag. Not had a chance at all. And Greer in with a stolen base. Gets herself in scoring position for Kendra Baldridge, who produced a pretty solid offensive showing in game number 1, and throughout the course of this year has done so as well. 18 total hits. Actually, 19 total hits. She went 2 for 4 in game number 1 with 4 RBIs. Home plate umpire wants a little conversation there. Maybe they thought that KCK was pleading that Greer left early. Greer actually was called for leaving early in game number 1. This one sharply hit and pulled foul on the third base side by Baldridge. But they say that Greer did not leave early, thus will get the stolen base and remain steadfast at second. Again, it was actually the very first inning of the game number 1 of the doubleheader. that saw Greer being taken off the base pads because the now home plate umpire, who was in the field of play in game number 1, said that she left the base pad early in her pursuit on the stolen base. 3-1 to Baldridge. Runner in scoring position, nobody out, bottom of the first inning, and that pitch sails high, back-to-back base on balls, and you've got 2 on and nobody out. Sydney Anderson now will come to the plate for Highland. Here comes Sydney Anderson. Struggled with the 2 plate appearances for herself in the first ball game, but back to starting out in the outfield yet again. It was a staple, obviously, for last year's team. First pitch strike to Anderson on the initial delivery. And that one connected on by Anderson. Anderson shoots it up high in the air, and it is gone. Out of here. Adios, amigos. There that time, Sydney Anderson says, I struggled in game 1, but tattoos the ball out of play. And Anderson takes the round-trip ticket here in the bottom half of the first inning on a 3-run bomb, as Anderson has got the 3-run homer with nobody out. So a huge hit there. The first hit of the ball game for Highland comes after 2 walks, and you always want to make a team pay when they give you the free passes, and Highland has been able to do that now early on just because of the 3-run homer by Sydney Anderson. So nice job by Sid to get the 3-run shot and help put the Scotties in the driver's seat. Anderson on the year. That would be her first home run of the season. And that ball sharply hit foul. Aubrey Hernandez digging in for her first plate appearances in this second matchup. Anderson on the her career. That would be her 13th home run. But blasting that one for herself, for Anderson and her team to go up 3-0 for the Scotties early on here. Still nobody out. We're in the bottom of the first inning, and Hernandez having a battle of an at-bat right now for herself, fouling that last pitch off. 1-2 the count. So 1-2 the count here. The delivery on the way, and this one is shot out to the third base dugout. Fouled off yet again. Good contact all around for Hernandez, and obviously for Anderson in the previous plate appearance, putting one sky high into the air and rocketing it out of play against Caitlin Cottrell early on, who served up the meatball to be thrown out of here. 2-2 the count to Hernandez as the designated player in this second ball game. And pitch a little high, maybe outside as well. Aubrey with the disciplined eye to lay off the pitch, make it a full count. And this one laced and rocketed out towards right field and out of here as well. Now a home run party now all of a sudden. Back-to-back shots out of the ballpark as Aubrey Hernandez tattoos one and sends a rocket stream out of play. Solo home run for Aubrey Hernandez, and it is a 4-0 start to this ball game for Highland. Rocketing a gal that had a 1.9 ERA, 1.91 ERA coming into this contest, but it is blossoming up in a negative direction right now if you're KCK as far as things go there. And it looks like they will switch things up with the pitching side of things too. So a new pitcher on the horizon for KCK. As they didn't take too long, nobody was recorded out by the starting pitcher in this ball game. Gives up 2 hits, both home runs, gives up 2 walks, and gives up 4 runs in that entire sequence of the first 4 batters of the ball game. So a new pitcher will come into play here. Faith Maslick will come in. Faith Maslick will see action on the inside the circle, for the action. New pitcher. So Faith will come in and take over pitching duties now for the Blue Devils after a rocky start for KCK in this second game of the doubleheader. Faith on the season has only pitched 6 2/3 innings. You had Kittrell and Green, who pitched over 18 innings of work. Then you have Maslick with 6.2 innings, so 6 2/3. Everybody after that has either pitched just 2/3 of an inning or an inning of the 8 games played thus far for KCK. Of course, 9 games now, of course, playing the first game of the day, too, as well. Alexis Hodap will come to the plate for the first time in this context. Alexis did not play in Game 1, has a .400 batting average on the season, freshman from Olathe, Kansas. 2 multi-hit games, but has played in 12 games of the 13, or the 14 now, I guess, and had recorded 11 hits, 11 games with hits, 14 total hits on the year. So Hodap will be the first batter that Maslick will face off against. So 4 players come to the plate, and, 2 home runs after 2 walks to open up the contest. There's the first pitch strike to the first baseman, Hodap. Again, nobody out still here in the bottom half of the first inning. And swing there, contact made over to the third baseman, picked up, rifled over to first, and that'll be 1 away. Play made over at third base by Kaylee Jacobson. 5-3 on the putout. Cammie Zimmerman now coming to the plate. Cammie had a solid game number 1 in this showdown. Zimmerman went 1 for 3, but scored 2 runs. So Zimmerman with some solid performances at the plate. And watches one outside for ball number 1 for the second baseman, Zimmerman. Reagan Ham in the on-deck circle started the game off very well, pitching-wise. Recorded a strikeout in between the first 3 outs that she recorded, as Maslick misses and winds and fired well outside. Ball 2. Head coach Heidi Jordan in her 14th season for the Scotties has won over 470 games for Highland softball. 472 if you want to know exactly. 227. Actually, that doesn't include the last game. So 473 wins now with the last win, and also 228 Jayhawk Conference wins for Coach Jordan, including the 9-4 victory against KCK earlier. That curves in for a strike against Zimmerman. And now 3-1 the count. Highland up 4-0, just the bottom of the first inning here in our second game of the doubleheader. And a wind and fire here. It's going to go sailing up for ball 4. And new pitcher doesn't really warrant much of a difference thus far. Did get 1 out by Maslick, but now induces the 3rd walk of the inning. And Highland took advantage of the free passes in game number 1. They had 2 walks, of course, if you remember correctly, in the second inning when they scored 3 runs. The first time that they did score, they had the 2 walks in that inning. They had a couple of runners via errors and also a hit batsman in the showdown. Called strike, fired into the pitcher, Reagan Ham. Ham getting the start, her 7th of the season inside the circle. 667 batting average, but only 2 hits, so limited plate appearances for herself thus far this season. But Ham, no designated player in her position for today, is going to take some cracks of the bat. Saw Ham play, matter of fact, another local product. I mentioned that Shannon Green, who pitched the game number 1, runner on the move. They'll throw down a second, no one there covering in time, but in there safely with a stolen base is Zimmerman. But I mentioned that KCK's pitcher in game 1, Shannon Green, played at McLouth. Probably know each other, having played against each other for high school ball in Reagan Ham and Shannon Green. And this one shot up into the air and out of play, out towards the grain bins. Takes the carom off of him on the first base side. Sun is dipped behind the grain bins, so now we're kind of encompassed with some shade for a good portion of the first base side. And the shadows creeping in on the field itself, too, down the first base side. Not really too much in the field of play a lot, but across home plate and across the first base line ever so slightly with some shadows. It's more that the fans have all moved to the sun on the third base side. A little bit chilly especially when you're not in the sunbeams in itself. Ball in the dirt and another walk. Reagan Ham draws the base on balls. And Highland continues to keep things rolling. Here's Serena Salazar. Salazar entered today having just one total hit in the first 2 games she played this season, but of course had a 2-for-3 performance with 2 runs scored in game number 1 of the doubleheader, did Serena Salazar. First pitch, they throw down a third. No one covering. The ball's going to go into left field and easily to trot home Cammie Zimmerman. Catcher quickly just pulled the trigger, fired down, and Brittany Beck, but the third baseman was not on top of it, and it went right over the top of her head and out towards left field. So an E2 will bring in the run. Zimmerman drawing the base on balls to get on base in general, but 5-0 lead. Scotty's on top and only 1 out here in the bottom of the first inning. Salazar watches it off the plate outside. So disciplined plate appearances for the Scotties right now. Make them throw strikes, which is something that they haven't been able to do. This is the second different pitcher, obviously, in the game thus far. If you're just tuning in, we're just getting underway. Salazar takes all the way on the 3-0 delivery. Called strike 1 from Faith Maslick. But starting the game was Caitlin Kittrell, and of course you look at Caitlin's statistical margins so far in the 18 innings that she pitched pretty well with a 1.91 ERA, but Salazar watches ball 4 come in and another walk in this inning. That is the 5th walk of the inning. Partner that with 2 home runs, and you've got 5 runs so far in this showdown. And 2 on, only 1 out. Alyssa Wesley, number 9 spot, coming to the plate, foul it off and out of play. Wesley in game number 1 had a solid performance. 1 for 2 with a run scored, drew a walk. Also got an RBI on the walk because it was a bases loaded walk. Here there's only 2 on at this point. 1-1 now the count here. Wesley fouled off the first pitch. Last pitch out of the zone, outside. Wind a little chilly coming in from the third base side again. Off the end of the barrel that time. Pitcher comes out of the circle. Maslick kind of flicks it over there, barely getting it. Made it a close player than it probably should have been. But Maslick gets it with a 1-3 putout. And moving up a base, Ham and Salazar up to third and second respectively. Cassidy Greer led this whole thing off with a leadoff walk, was on base when Sydney Anderson took the round-trip ticket for 3 and got the 3-run homer and got Highland on the board. Greer digging back in, took a called strike 1 on the first delivery, but Greer now facing a different pitcher than the previous time. Fouled off that last pitch. 0-2 the count. Ball seemed to find the lone fans on the first base side when it fouled off. The count, 5-0 lead. Highland on top. Ball goes down in the dirt. Good block by the catcher, Brittany Beck, but it is ball 1 to Greer. Ham at third, Salazar at second. And this pitch will be swung on, laced into center field. It's an RBI single. Salazar will turn, but stop at third. And they throw into home, brings in 1. Ham comes scoring on the RBI single by Greer. Baldridge, who had a walk her first time up in this inning, now comes to the plate as the Scotties now lead it 6-0 already here in the bottom half of the first inning. KCK had a runner to open up this ball game, just like they did in game number 1. As the runner reached on an error, though, this time around, it's Natalie Cohen, the same gal that led off for KCK in the first game of the doubleheader. Cohen had 3 hits in game number 1, reached on an error this time around. They won't throw down to second, a called strike on Baldridge as Greer advances up to second base. So 2 on the scoring position, and Baldridge laces one down the line on third base side out to left field, and that's going to score 2. Easily standing up. There's an RBI double, 2 RBIs, that is, for Kendra Baldridge. Baldridge with a 2 RBI double in game 1 of the doubleheader, gets 2 more now, and, well, clears the bases at that point with 2 runs coming in. Highland continues to pound KCK here with the 3 hits that they have in this inning, or 4 hits they have. 3 of them are extra base hits, 2 home runs and 1 double, and it is 8-0 here in the bottom half of the first inning. Scotty's rolling early in this one, not wasting any time to get the offense going. 8 runs on 4 hits and 1 error to help lead the way for the Scotties at this juncture. First pitch strike fired in to Sydney Anderson, who blasted the 3-run homer her first time around. Maslick fires this in, and Anderson gets another piece of it, but this is a lofty one here, played by the shortstop charging in, and Arnzen tracks it in left field territory. The shortstop hauls in the 3rd and final out, but that's after we bat around and even a new pitcher in the game for KCK. 1 inning finally in the books, and, well, Highland has a dominant control of this one, up 8-0. So we head to the top of the 2nd inning here on the Scotty Sports Network.
If you have heard stories about college debt and what it is doing not only to the students who borrow the money, but also to families who co-sign those loans, you may have concern about your own college future. Check out the difference it makes to attend Highland Community College before transferring to a 4-year institution. Going to Highland will save you thousands of dollars in college expense. Literally, you'll be able to start your life after college without the burden of debt that is impacting so many families. Check it out at highlandcc.edu. Highland Community College. From here, you can see anywhere.
Well, Reagan will return to the circle with plenty of run support to work with now, as herself and her teammates do plenty of damage in the bottom half of the first inning. Just 4 hits helped produce 8 total runs over the course of the bottom of the first inning, but several walks, 5 of them. 5 walks, including the first 2 batters. Then Sydney Anderson, well, took the opening pitcher, Caitlin Caterell, deep for a 3-run homer. Aubrey Hernandez followed suit with a solo shot in the next at-bat. That means we saw a different pitcher come into play for KCK. Sharply after the end of the barrel there, Kimmy Zimmerman stretched out but couldn't get to it. They tried to make the quick play, throw it first, as the right fielder, Sydney Anderson, was on top of it, but it is going to be a hit, as Jenny Mullins was able to get a leadoff single. So the trend continues for KCK from game number 1 to now here in game number 2. More often than not, they had the leadoff gal on. Now, obviously, they only had that 1 inning of run-producing output in game number 1. We'll see if they can make it a little bit different this time around for themselves. Shannon Brown now digs in, the center fielder for KCK. Brown played out in the outfield in center field the first time in the first game. 1 for 3 performance for her in that showdown. And here comes the pitch. This one put up into the air, now into foul territory, it looks like, as Anderson was in pursuit. Zimmerman actually gets to it from second base and glances off Cammie's glove. So foul territory, just a strike. Reagan back inside the circle. 2 strikes against Shannon Brown. And pitch goes high. So Brown will continue to battle here. Top half the 2nd inning. Yeah, that's right. We started the second game. Or in Highland, well, they kept their bats rolling in the bottom half of the first inning for quite some time. And time called. Pull back out to reset things. Pitch fires outside. Good play by Greer to keep it in front of her, keep the runner over at first base. And Mullins, nobody out. Leadoff gal on here for KCK. Highland looking to go 4-0 in Jayhawk Conference play with the doubleheader sweep, winning game 1. This one shot out into center field, laced right up. Nice base hit right up the middle. So back-to-back hits to open up the top half of the 2nd inning. Back-to-back singles by Mullins and Brown. Pitcher, Faith Maslick, will be batting. Caitlin, of course, was in the lineup at this spot, but taken out of the ball game before she could even take the bat off her shoulders in this one. Dead ball there in that situation, trying to pop up and maybe make a play. Did Greer from her crouch behind the plate. Reset the defense for you for Highland in a moment as well after this next pitch. 2 on, nobody out. Top of the second inning, Highland on top 8-0. They show bunt, high pitch there, and that's a strike. Did chase after it, did Maslick. Cassidy Greer, the catcher. Reagan Ham, of course, pitching in this second game of the doubleheader. 1-1 count to Faith Maslick right now. Alexis Hodap over at first. Cammie Zimmerman at second. Serena Salazar at third. Here comes the pitch. Another called strike. And that is now 1-2 the count. Rounding out the infield at shortstop is Maya Daniels for the Scotties. The outfield again from left to right is Alyssa Wesley, Kendra Baldridge, and Sydney Anderson. Ham from the rubber inside the circle. That one fouled off. May have glanced off of Greer's mask. Referee, or the umpire, of course, taking some more time to check out the ball, but give Greer a little bit of time to shake it off. But Cassidy didn't appear much worse for the wear as the ball glanced off after being fouled off by Maslick. 1-2 the count, it remains. Ham winds, fires, and swing and a miss. Down on strikes. K number 2 of the ball game for Ham on the season. You look at her strikeout numbers thus far. Now 17 strikeouts for Reagan Ham. Ham now will face off against the left fielder, Paris Forsey. Paris started in the outfield in game number 1, out in left field, matter of fact. Went 0 for 3, however, in that contest. And Ham's first pitch laced right back to her by Forsey. They'll go to third for the force out there and get the lead runner. 1-5 on the putout, races Mullins on the fielder's choice. So great heady play there. Go get the lead runner in that situation. Get your second out as well. And now 1 out away from wiggling out of a jam. Highland did a really good job of wiggling out of some jams outside of course, obviously the 4-run inning that KCK was able to produce in the first game of the doubleheader. Highland worked out of some other situations where runners were in scoring position, including a situation like this inning. Swing and a miss that time by Aspen Salinas. But KCK had, before they scored 4 runs in the first game, had a situation prior to that where they had the first 2 runners of the inning on and both in scoring position at third and second. So even better than what they had here, and didn't get anything out of it. But here you get the first 2 runners on via singles, and now you might not get anything out of it again if you're the Blue Devils, and Highland would like to make sure that that is the case here in this top half of the second. Ham winds, fires. This one fouled off and out of play on the third base side. Off the end of the barrel that time and over the top of the third base dugout. Whitney Degonia in pursuit of the foul ball for the Scotties. Ham back inside the circle, winds, fires, and chasing after a high pitch there. Backhanded by Salazar, but in foul territory. So back at it again, digging back in is the designated player, the 9 spot in the batting order for KCK. A 5-4 record for them. They've lost now 3 in a row after losing game 1 to the Scotties 9-4. Highland leads 8-0 here after just 1 inning of play. We're in the top half of the second. That pitch paints inside, but apparently a little bit too far off the plate inside. So now 2-2 the count. And that one swung on and missed. 2 strikeouts to get out of the jam here in the top half of the second inning. They get 2 on with leadoff singles, back-to-back that is, to open up the top half of the second inning, but nothing comes to fruition out of that situation. And, well, stranding 2 in the top of the second was KCK. We go to the bottom of the second. Highland leading this one 8-0 here on the Scotty Sports Network.
Highland Community College continues to make college more affordable. Administrated by Nelnet Business Solutions, HCC now offers payment plans. Any student taking an HCC course may finance their tuition fee and main campus housing via one of 3 different payment plans. Choose from day, evening, weekend, or online classes with one great low rate. Associate's degrees and transferable classes with financial aid and scholarships also available. Highland Community College. From here, you can see anywhere.
On to the bottom of the second inning we go. Highland on top. 8 runs produced in the bottom half of the first inning for the Scotties. 2 home runs highlight the frame for Highland to be in the driver's seat the way they are. Of course, a couple of opportunities with leadoff runners on each time around for KCK, but can't get anything to go out of those situations for the Blue Devils. Highland will head to the plate here in this one in the second inning. Again, second different pitcher that we've seen, but didn't really help aid the cause of KCK. The first 4 batters were faced by the starter, and that was it. Aubrey Hernandez, solo home run her first time around. That was after Sydney Anderson had cleared the bases prior to that. Aubrey will lead off the second inning, and the ball dips low for ball 1. Finding the strike zone was obviously a very big struggle in the contest. 5 walks garnered by the Scotties thus far in this ballgame. And Hernandez is going to find the gap, perhaps stopped by the second baseman. Going to be close play, but it was played off the hop and goes in to the first base dugout as he got away. But Hernandez will be safe. So Hernandez getting on base for the second time and opening up the second inning. The bottom of the second inning, that is, with a early base runner for Highland. They give Hernandez a single officially in that situation. Here's Hodap, and Alexis maybe just pulled back in time, did in the nick of time there. Chart was in pursuit of that ball, well dipping into the dirt by Alexis to pull back there and get ball number 1 in that one. And Alexis Hodap will watch strike 1 come in now, straight down the pipe, maybe a little bit in, but fired in for strike 1-1. Now the count to Hodap. Alexis grounded out to the third baseman for out number 1. She was actually the first batter that Faith Maslick did face, and then Hodap's going to lace one over the third baseman's head, playing off a hop out in left field. But Hodap's got into the hit party here early on for Highland, and back-to-back singles to open up the second. And here comes Cammie Zimmerman. Highland popping out the offense here in game number 2. Now, they had 10 hits, obviously, in game number 1. Won 9-4. Was the 10th time that they've scored 9 or more runs this season. They're already almost to 9 right now. Zimmerman puts this one up into the air down the first base side, and in pursuit, the first baseman overplays it. Goes off to her right and unable to track that into her hands over at first base. As Jenny Mullins can't hold on. Just a foul ball for Zimmerman, and she'll get another crack at it. Could have been a foul ball out if it would have been played right. There is obviously the wind to factor in. It's changed a little bit of the directions and comes and goes at times as a called strike 2 on the inner part of the plate. Zimmerman now down in the count 0-2. Cammie drew a walk, scored on a throwing error. That helped to get her. And then Zimmerman puts one up and tattoos it out of here. And that one is gone. Zimmerman with the home run. It is a blast-off party right now for the Scotties, as this is the 3rd home run of the contest. And this is a 3-run shot as well. Second 3-run homer of the game as Zimmerman hits one out of the ballpark towards left center field. And Cammie Zimmerman gets her first round trip ticket of the year on the home run. So 3-run homer by Cammie. And Highland firmly in the driver's seat here. Back-to-back singles by Hodap and Hernandez opened up the bottom half of the second inning. And what we had to open up the game, obviously, was 4 consecutive base runners and Giles getting on. And the home run party continues as this one, Cammie Zimmerman, gets the 3rd home run of the ball game. Now all of a sudden 11-0. Scotty's in control, and we're going to see a new pitcher for the KCK Blue Devils. So another new pitcher in this contest, and inside the circle, Shelby Espy for the first time here today. And I mentioned, outside of the gal that started this game, Caitlin Cottrell, and the gal that, of course, started at game 1, there was nobody that really had pitched more than 6 innings because Faith Maslick had pitched 6, but no one else after that had pitched 1 or 2/3 of an inning thus far. And, well, Maslick will go officially 1 inning of action. Of course, she surrendered 3 walks during that time frame, all back in the first inning, and had surrendered also 5 hits in the matchup as well. So, plenty of the action, too. 3 hits here in this inning alone and a couple hits in that other inning as well. So opportunities at hand for Highland to take advantage of everything, and that they have. They've been able to pound the softball. They have 7 hits. 3 of them are home runs, and 1 other one is a double. So 4 of the 7 hits are extra base hits for the Scotties in this showdown to lead 11-0, bottom of the second inning, and no outs yet at all. Reagan Ham drew a walk, scored 1 of the 8 runs in the first. Ham took ball 1. Spinning around, and ball 2 comes inside and low to Ham. Ham, plenty of run support to work with, and I think could be kind of almost in cruise control at this point, up 11-0. You never want to take anything for granted, but only being in the bottom of the second inning as Ham takes a strike, but 2-1. 2-1 the count. Try to get you a final on that baseball game if it's went final yet. It might still be going on for the Highland Scotties baseball team, and Ham chases after that, comes up empty on the swing. Now 2-2 the count. Nobody out still here in the bottom of the second inning. 3-run homer by Cammie Zimmerman adds to the Highland lead. I was after Alexis Hodap and Aubrey Hernandez led the inning off with back-to-back singles, and Ham swings and misses. And as the new pitcher, Shelby Espy, thought that was the final out. That's just out number 1 of the bottom of the second inning. And Serena Salazar, between the 2 games, has been on base 3 of the 4 times she's been at the plate. Salazar had 2 hits in the first game, drew a walk here. This one just catches the outside portion of the plate for strike 1. Salazar, one of the 5 walks drawn in inning number 1. Also one of the 8 runs scored, too. That ball goes down in the dirt for ball 1 to even the count, 1-1. Coming up on Saturday, Highland baseball team will be in action against Fort Scott for a Jayhawk Conference doubleheader. We'll have that right here on the Scotty Sports Network. Highland softball, of course, takes their talents on the road, as they'll be going to Independence coming up on the 16th. Then they have on the 17th, the doubleheader at Cali. Their next home game will be on the 19th against MCC Maplewood. Second baseman over there picking it up. Natalie Cohen fires over to first. Relatively easy throw for 3 on the putout. And back-to-back outs recorded by the new pitcher, Shelby Espy, who is the 3rd gal on the mound in this showdown for KCK in game number 2. And a substitution in for the Scotties, Kennedy Meyer. So Kennedy Meyer will come in for Alyssa Wesley.
Now that number 6, Kennedy Meyer.
So Alyssa goes 0 for 1 in this one, but comes out of the contest to give way to another gal that hasn't seen too much time quite yet from Gardner, Kansas, a freshman. Just in 3 games played has Kennedy Meyer, so this will be her 4th opportunity to see action for the Scotties. He did have a 1-for-2 performance with a run scored against Central Community College. So Kennedy Meyer will be inserted into the lineup. Set in the defensive alignment for KCK at the moment. And this, of course, the home plate umpire changing the book for himself as far as lineups go to make sure that he's got the change. And now ready to put it in motion with Meyer taking over for Wesley. Meyer steps into the number 9 spot in the lineup and try to keep this inning alive. Comes up empty on the first pitch thrown by Espy and a swing and a miss. Espy coming in after 3 batters faced Faith Maslick, who finished off the first inning after coming in relief of the starter, Caitlin Cottrell. That ball gets through the legs of the catcher, Beck. Now 1-1 the count to Meyer. But, of course, Maslick, after recording out number 1 on the first batter that she faced in the first inning, served up 3 consecutive walks following that, and then gave up induced a ground out to get to 2 outs. Of course, there was an error sandwiched in between that helped bring in a run or 2, and then gave up back-to-back hits, an RBI single by Cassidy Greer and a 2 RBI double by Kendra Baldridge. And Meyer rips one foul on the third base side. Got a good piece of that, but again, pulled it foul. Kennedy, in just her limited time, on the field thus far this season, again, has only had that 1 hit that she registered against Central Community College. And watch this one in the dirt. Good eye there to draw the full count for Meyer. So Meyer trying to get her 2nd hit of the year. Get on the base pads. Something that she hasn't been able to do much as well in just her limited 3 games. But opportunity now for Meyer for the Scotties, being up 11-0, but a swing and a miss and down on strike. So Shelby Espy comes in and shuts down Highland offense, but the Scotties offense has done plenty of damage already. Another home run, the 3rd of the ball game. This one from the bat of Cammie Zimmerman after back-to-back singles to open up the bottom half of the 2nd. It was a 3-run homer by Zimmerman that ultimately allows Highland to be up after 2, 11-0 here on the Scotty Sports Network.
Highland Community College surprises a lot of people. Generally thought as one of the smallest, Highland is actually in the middle of the 19 Kansas community colleges in enrollment. Its Highland campus has a real college feel with housing, athletics, student organizations, theater, concerts, art shows, an operating farm, and distinctive academic programs in its regional centers that cover the college's 9-county service area in northeast Kansas. Viticulture, enology, precision agriculture, diesel, construction technology, early childhood. Check it out, Highland Community College, online at highlandcc.edu.
Top of the 3rd inning we go to. As the PA announcer said, top of the 4th, but it is top of the 3rd. Highland on top, 11-0. Some defensive changes. Of course, Kennedy Meyer came in for Alyssa Wesley, batting in that bottom half of the 2nd. She now takes over in left field for Wesley. And a substitution in at 3rd base as well. Serena Salazar has exited the ball game after a 0-for-1 performance, but did have a walk to get a run scored in the contest. Hadrina Hidalgo will come into the contest now for Highland here in the top half of the 3rd inning. So top half of the 3rd we are. At the plate, it's the top of the order, Natalie Cohen. Cohen really has only been recorded out just once. There's a fired-in strike, however, that time. And here's an opportunity to get a gal that has been an elusive out get her out to start off the top half of the third as Reagan Ham continues to work inside the circle. Ham winds, fires, puts it up into the air, fouled out of play. So 0-2 the count remains for Natalie Cohen, who has a 3-for-4 performance in game number 1 with 3 hits. Reached on an error in her lone at bat thus far in this one. And Ham fires it in. This one's going to stay in the field of play out towards center field and tracked in by Baldridge. Nice job there by Kendra Baldridge to haul in out number 1 on a fly ball out to center. Callie Jacobson now coming to the plate. Foul out to the catcher. Her first time up down the first base side. So Callie Jacobson digs in for first pitch this time around. Her second at bat in this one, down low at the feet and in the dirt. Ball 1. National tournament for the men's and women's basketball teams start next week, next Tuesday. The women will play at 9 o'clock for the Scotties against Macomb. This one put up in there to the shortstop. Maya Daniels plays out the high hop, throws it over to first. What a play. Some display of leather that time by Maya Daniels. And 6-3 on the ground out there. Daniels played it off an awkward little hop, and she scooped it into the glove and fired it over to first for the second out of the top of the third. The Highland men will play Tuesday in their opening round game against Richard Bland. And that will be an 8:30 start time. So Scotty women play early in the morning Tuesday. The men play later at night. Ball curves out of play there that time off the strike zone. And Jaden Lindgren digging in with a 1-0 count. Highland up 11-0 here in the top of the third. And swung on a pitch that was out of the zone, but you take that if you're a Ham. Lindgren, of course, striking out her first time up. One of 3 strikeouts for Ham in this matchup. Scotty's up 11-0, and Ham fires it in. This one straight back into the netting. 1-2 the count now, moving 2 after the foul off pitch by Lindgren. Highland going with some substitutions in this ball game early on, getting the early lead, so allowing some other gals to step in and take over. Another fouled off pitch straight back to the backstop. Ham back in the circle. 3 strikeouts on the day. He's given up just a couple of hits, only 3 base runners on the day overall. And that last pitch fouled off and back into the grain bins. Still 1-2 the count. Last pitch fouled off as well. That will be the 6th pitch of the at-bat coming now from Ham that curtails outside and off the plate. So now 2-2. The count has moved to for Lindgren. 2 outs, top of the third inning. Scotty's in the driver's seat, 11-0. Firmly in control of this ball game. Time called. Still just young into this season. Highland's obviously logged more games than KCK has. Both teams have had some postponements. The Scotties didn't make the trip to Texas because of expected weather there. Daniels scoops up another one over at shortstop, fires it over to first, and another ground out induced to the shortstop there. Pair of ground outs and a fly ball out, and a 1-2-3 top of the third inning for the Scotty defense. And Highland leading this one 11-0. And that is into the bottom half of the third inning. Highland going to the top half of the order when we get back here on the Scotty Sports Network.
Watch all the action and relive games from the season on the Scotty Sports Network, your home for Highland Community College sports. Subscribe to the Scotty Sports Network on YouTube and stay connected to HCC Sports. And now you can catch the latest game action and special features on teams and players with programs like Scotty Sports Talk. Find links to Scotty Sports Network under the Fan Zone tab at ScottyAthletics.com and subscribe to the Scotty Sports Network on YouTube.
11-0 lead. Scotty's on top, leading this one by a handed margin from early on. They had an early base runner, KCK did, on an error earlier on in this showdown, but nothing came of it in the top half of the first inning, but plenty came for the Scotties in the bottom of the first. 5 walks partnered with 4 hits, including 2 home runs and a double as well, helped Highland plate 8 runs in the bottom of the first inning, and they now lead it 11-0 as they scored 3 more in the second on another home run. They've had 2 3-run homers. Cammie Zimmerman with a 3-run homer, and Sydney Anderson with a 3-run homer as well. Aubrey Hernandez had a solo home run in this contest as well, too. Cassidy Greer scored 2 of the 11 runs. A walk and an RBI single for Cassidy in game number 2. First pitch here. She faces a new pitcher for herself this time around, Shelby Espy. Espy came in and got the final 3 outs, or all 3 outs, I should say, in the second inning. This came in after the first 3 batters came to the plate against Faith Maslick. There's a strike fired in after a first pitch ball, so 1-1 the count here to Greer. Kendra Baldridge in the on-deck circle. Sydney Anderson after that, unless there's any more changes to the lineup. There's a swing and a miss as Greer chipped away at it, but came up empty. Now 1-2 the count to the catcher, Cassidy Greer. Greer digs back in, facing SP, chases after it, a little running tap to the third baseman, and great play, a stretch over at first by Mullins to get that throw by third baseman Callie Jacobson, and an athletic stretch over at first, records out number 1 in the bottom of the third on a 5-3 put out on the ground out. Kendra Baldridge, 1 for 1 with a 2 RBI double. Also drawn the walk and scored a run on the walk back in the first. Of course, she came in to score on the Sydney Anderson 3-run homer. First pitch strike. This was to Baldridge. Baldridge put good contact again, and she's pulled a couple of good balls foul in these doubleheaders, and if she could straighten those out, obviously that would be warranting a hit situation, you would think. But ripped one down the third base line to get her double back in the second inning. Or excuse me, back in the first inning as part of that 8-run inning. Baldridge fouled off another, so that's strike 2. Oh, 2 the count here. Bottom of the third inning. 11-0 Highland on top. This one got some good contact, shooting it out towards the gap. Right center field. Tracked in and off the glove. Off the glove there. Headed towards second and turning in to stand up at second base is Kendra Baldridge. Baldridge safely for the third time on the base pads as it glances off the glove of the right fielder in pursuit out in right center. Unable to track that into the glove there that time. And in E9 for the error that time for KCK. KCK had just only 1 error in this ballgame thus far, but they had a couple of errors in the first game, finished with 4 of them, matter of fact. One was an ever so costly one that helped produce 2 runs on a couple base runners that were on the base pads. An errant throw from the catcher helped produce 2 of the Scotty runs at one point in the first game of the doubleheader. But Baldridge in scoring position as a strike comes firing into Anderson. Evens the count at 1-1. Anderson took ball 1, of course, on the first delivery. Seemingly it's gotten chillier, it seems like, over the course of this ball game. Had to break out the gloves. It's at least the shade, perhaps making it feel a lot colder. My man Mose Hall joining him here. He's bundled up in the blanket and everything for the contest. The shadows have creeped out towards the circle now, encompassing all entire first base side, outside of a sliver of it, as you can see on the screen. This one laced by Anderson out towards left field, tracking it all the way to the wall. Bring in Baldridge, and it's going to be an RBI double by Anderson. Anderson with 2 extra base hits and 4 RBIs in this ball game. And here's a new gal on to the scene for Highland. Aubrey Hernandez will have her contest come to an end, going 2 for 2 with an RBI and 2 runs scored in this showdown for Hernandez. But Hope Eckley will be into the lineup for the first time. Of course, a home run for Hernandez is one of her 2 hits. But this is Hope Eckley coming into the affair. Hope, freshman from Wichita, Kansas, 9th game that she will see action in here today. 300 batting average with 3 total hits on this season. Looking back to what Sydney's Anderson has been able to do, of course, the 3-run homer and now an RBI double for Sid. That is her 9th double of the season. That was her first home run, of course, of the year as well. But now digging into the lineup a little bit deeper with Eckley now coming to the plate. Hope's first at bat will be against Shelby Espy, the 3rd pitcher of the game for KCK. And it also comes with Sydney Anderson in scoring position. 12-0 lead here in the bottom of the 3rd. Highland burst on to the scene here in Game 2 with 8 runs in the bottom of the 1st. As the hits continue to pile up as well for the Scotties in this showdown. They've got 8 of them. A multitude of them have been extra base hits, 3 home runs and 2 doubles. So 5 of the 8 hits for the Scotties have been extra base hits here in this game number 2. 2-1 the count here to Eckley as Espy's pitch fired inside and low. Ball 3. Just 2 hits for KCK in this contest. They left 3 on. Highland's only stranded 1 base runner of all the base runners that they've been able to generate. Of course, scoring 12 runs. Ooh, called strike 2. Eckley thought that was outside for ball 4, as did her teammates, I think, too. But home plate umpire saying it catches the outside corner and leading to a full count, and well high there. No doubt about that one being ball 4, leading to the base on balls for Eckley as she reaches base with her 2nd walk of the season. And here's Alexis Hodap, 1 for 2 contest with a run scored, a single. Of course, she was on base when Cammie Zimmerman blasted the 3-run homer for herself. And Hodap got a piece of it, but spins it off of the end of the barrel for strike 1 in foul territory. Alexis, I mentioned earlier, from Olathe, Kansas, but with her hit in this game, has 12 hits in the 13 games she's played. What a great play by the 3rd baseman. Wow, 3rd baseman Callie Jacobson ripped that there from the ground and got dirty, dove to 3rd base to get the lead runner in Sydney Anderson on a fielder's choice. So 5 unassisted fielder's choice over at 3rd, ripes away Sydney Anderson. Eckley moves up to 2nd, and Hodap will be over at 1st on the fielder's choice. And Cammie Zimmerman, who remains in the game. As many other gallants have been subbed out for at this point, but Zimmerman, 3-run homer, 2 runs scored. Reaching on a walk her first time up, shoots one foul on the 3rd base side. 1-1 the count now here to the 2nd baseman, Zimmerman. She came in to score on the E2, I believe it was, in the 1st inning. Is the throwing error that got out of this one. It's going to be looped out to right field, but lofted up enough for the right fielder linger in and be able to track that down and track it in. And that will do it for the bottom half of the third inning. But another run tracked across the board for the Scotties, as it was a RBI double by Sydney Anderson, who's had herself a multi-hit game, but a couple of hits that were extra base hits thus far in this one. Scotties on top 12-0 here on the Scotty Sports Network.
Get all the latest news on Highland Community College athletics by checking out ScottyAthletics.com. From recaps of the latest game action, schedules, stats, player features, athletes of the week, and much more. All you need to know about Highland Community College sports at your fingertips at ScottyAthletics.com. Make sure to also follow us on Twitter at HCC Scotties and on Facebook.
Definitely not used to the cold right now. I've been inside in the warm confines of gyms for basketball action for a while. And first softball action of the season for myself here on the Scotty Sports Network. Looking forward to much more. And baseball on Saturday. We'll have my first play-by-play call of the Scotty baseball team against Fort Scott coming up on Saturday on the Scotty Sports Network. As the baseball team looks to continue to build under head coach Daniel Doohan in his second season. Head coach Scotty, Heidi Jordan and Scott Jordan, of course, leading the softball team to exceptional heights over the course of their coaching careers. And thus far this season off to an exceptional start to this year, 12-2 after the win in Game 1 of the doubleheader. New pitcher inside the circle for the Scotties. It's Haley Donaldson. So Haley Donaldson coming into the contest to take over inside the circle for Reagan Ham. So Donaldson will now pitch after 3 innings of work for Ham. Ham only surrendering 2 hits, no runs, of course, during that time frame, with 3 strikeouts and only really 3 base runners. There was only the other one base runner, and it was an error that was able to garner that base runner as well. Kinley Jennerette did also check into the contest, but didn't see where she inserted herself, I believe, out in the outfield. First pitch from Donaldson on the way is going to be hit right past the second baseman out towards right center field. And a leadoff single quickly like that. Just the first pitch, and it was a gal that has done some good things here in today's doubleheader. Of course, she had a home run of her own, Kaylee Arnzen. Arnzen led off here at 4th inning, top of the 4th, with the single. Now that means this is the 3rd inning of the 4 times they've been at the plate for KCK, which is, again, another trend that they were able to accomplish in game number 1 is getting the leadoff runner on. Donaldson's first pitch dips into the dirt. Greer keeps it in front of her, so it's ball 1 to Jenny Mullins, who led off the 2nd inning with a single. She has one of the now 3 hits in the game for KCK. 12-0 lead. Highland on top here in the top half of the 4th. And this one's going to be shot out into center field and, well, past center field and out of play. Haley Donaldson serves up a 2-run homer here in the top half of the 4th inning. So KCK, who had struggled offensively, just garnering 3 runners over the first 3 innings and had just 2 hits at that point, get 2 hits here in the 4th inning alone and get a 2-run homer as well after the leadoff single in the inning 2. So now all of a sudden on the board for KCK, what was a 12-0 lead. It's still a 10-run lead, but it's 12-2. Scotty's giving up their first runs of this second game of the doubleheader, winning game 1 9-4. They led 7-0 in that game. They led 12-0 obviously here this time around, but right now up 12-2. Still a sizable margin obviously to be in the control of this ball game. First pitch inside and low for Shannon Brown. Takes ball 1. Brown had a single back in the 2nd inning. That's when KCK looked like they may be threatening with some runs of their own early in the ball game. Had the first 2 runners get on, but nothing came of it. And Megan Ham and company were able to get out of it. Good placement there by Greer on the pitch outside by Donaldson, but it catches the corner and called strike from the home plate umpire to even the count at 1 apiece. Again, the 2-run homer just moments ago by Jenny Mullins. 2-hit game for her. But also just 4 hits garnered by KCK in the frame. That pitch inside and ball 2. And 2-1 the count. Donaldson's inside the circle. Reagan Ham pitched the first 3 innings of this action. Scotties are up 12-0 entering the top of the 4th. But 2 runs crossed and scratched across the board now here as Donaldson misfires on that pitch. High and outside, ball 3. Donaldson on the year. Looking at her pitching numbers, obviously comes back as a sophomore from DeKalb, Missouri. Was a second-team Jayhawk Conference All-Honoree by the pitching side of things. That pitch in the dirt and ball 4. So Donaldson's first 3 batters she faces, she gives up a single, a 2-run homer, and now a walk. And Donaldson on the year, that's just her 9th walk issued. This is her 6th appearance inside the circle. Only 1 start, but 5 other relief appearances, including today. 11 2/3 innings pitched prior to today's performance, so the 2.4 ERA on the season. Swing and a miss that time around as that is swung on and missed by the new pitcher in this contest, in Shelby Espy. So Espy in the at-bat right now. And swung on and missed on a pitch outside. Espy chases after it. Quickly down the count, 0-2. Of course, the starting pitcher never got an official at-bat. Keelan Kittrell never even actually officially recorded an out in the ball game. Faced 4 batters, gave up 2 walks, a 3-run homer, and a solo home run. And then Keelan Kittrell's day was over. Faith Maslick came in, finished off that inning, but still gave up 4 runs of her own during that time frame. And that ball is fouled off, but called a dead ball in that situation. So Maslick, of course, finished the day giving up 7 total runs, all of which have been earned. The only run that might not be listed as an earned run, obviously, would be the run in the 3rd against Shelby Essling. And a called strike 3 on the inner part of the plate. Backwards K by Donaldson. And Haley Donaldson comes and gets the strikeout for out number 1 in the top half of the 4th inning. Donaldson with that strikeout now has 8 Ks on the season inside the circle. Paris Forsey coming to the plate now for the Blue Devils. Defense a little bit different, obviously, with Greer still behind the plate. Donaldson now pitching for Highland. Donaldson's first pitch is high. Greer pops up from her crouch, checks the runner back at first, which happens to be Shannon Brown at this point. Of course, you have a new third baseman that entered the fold a little while ago, Adrina Hidalgo. Maya Daniels remains at shortstop where she started the game. Cammie Miller in the inner portion of the infield at second remains there, and Alexis Hodap as well. Lay this one down. Greer pops it up right in her hands and was able to track down the pop-up. So technically not a foul out. It was in fair territory, so fly ball out to on the pop-up to the catcher. Now 2 outs here in the top of the 4th. Baseball team is done. Of course, they've made their way here. Trying to get you a scoring update on that when we can. Aspen Salinas digging in against Donaldson. And Donaldson sees Salinas swing right over the top. Salinas struck out, obviously, back in her last at-bat, back in the 2nd inning against starting pitcher Reagan Ham here today. Outfield, by the way, too, of course, looks like still Sydney Anderson out there. Or Sydney Anderson was out there, not out there anymore at the right field spot. So new outfield, it looks like, for the Scotties in this showdown. Kennedy Meyer did enter the fold. She's out in left field. I want to say that's Sarah Shin out in center field, but I'm not 100% sure on that. Digging back in, Aspen Salinas. Salinas 0 for 1 with the strikeout. 0-2 delivery on the way. Donaldson gets her to contact that again. Out in right field, Sydney Anderson now is out there, I believe. Yeah, so Anderson did remain in right field. But new center fielder, I believe. I don't think that's Kendra still. Swing and a miss, down on strikes. They appealed there that time to make sure, but a swing and a miss for Salinas, strikeout, and 2 strikeouts for Donaldson as she enters and the pitching matchup. And, well, the Scotties 12-2, and looks like they will be able to ultimately go 2-0 here today with the 2 runs in the top half of the inning. Of course, we'll see. Well, not quite yet in the books, as we still got to play the 5th inning, of course, in the bottom of the 4th we go to. But ultimately, Highland on top. 2 runs in that top half of the 4th inning as they're looking for that 13th win of the season. 2 hits in that inning. They, of course, got a walk, did KCK as well. We're going to keep it right here on the Scotty Sports Network for you in this showdown. But 2-run homer by Jenny Mullins gets them on the board for the Blue Devils. They do strand 1. They've left 4 on base here in today's matchup in the second game of the doubleheader. But finally get and scratch a couple runs across the board. Scotties have garnered runs in every half inning for themselves. 8-run outburst in the bottom of the 1st inning. 3 more in the 2nd and 1 more in the 3rd. And Highland on top 12-2 as we go to the bottom half of the 4th inning. It's the bottom of the order. It looks like Kaylee Donaldson will be the gal due up here. So that will end Reagan Ham's day. 0 for 1 officially with a run scored and a walk in the contest. But Donaldson will check in and the batting order, taking over inside the circle in the top half of the 4th. Now Donaldson will take over at the plate for Ham here in the 4th inning. Donaldson with some Shania Twain, I believe. Walk-up music. Definitely out of the norm. Actually, not Shania Twain. This is definitely some country, though. And nice country music. Get rolling for Haley Donaldson and company. So Donaldson will lead things off here. Hidalgo, I believe, will be up next. And then Meyer after that in the batting order. Donaldson here in the bottom of the 4th inning. Haley Donaldson. Of course, pitcher is Shelby Espy, the 3rd different gal inside the circle today for KCK. Shadows almost have, overtaken about 3/4 of the infield here at Scotty Park. 12-2 lead, bottom of the 4th inning. 3 home runs in this ball game, 2 of the 3-run variety for Highland. Of course, you have Sydney Anderson with a 3-run homer, Cammie Zimmerman with a 3-run homer, and Aubrey Hernandez with a solo home run in the ball game. Partner that up with a couple of nice doubles, a 2 RBI double by Kendra Baldridge, who's been on base 3 times, and also a RBI double by Sydney Anderson, who had 2 extra base hits in this ball game. And you've got a solid offensive performance from the Scotties here. You throw all that in together with a multitude of walks, 5 of them in the 1st inning alone that they were able to garner. Then you throw in another walk and a runner that reached via an error in the 3rd inning. So Shelby Espy from the rubber inside the circle fires a first pitch strike to Haley Donaldson. Donaldson leading things off here in the bottom half of the 4th inning with the Scotties up 12-2. On the way here, Donaldson wants to put one up in the air. This one's going to make it strip all the way off the wall. Off the wall there, just off the top of the wall, the yellow right there. And Donaldson trips up on her way to second, settles for the double. But close to the home run. That would have been the 4th of the game for Highland. Of course, 200 down the lines and 200 to dead center the dimensions here at Scotty Park. And Haley Donaldson inches away from the home run and a solo shot to open up the inning. Settles for the double and in scoring position right now here for Adrina Hidalgo. Hidalgo, 167 batting average on the year. Just one hit thus far. Donaldson, that was just her 2nd hit of the season. And that gets away as Donaldson will track herself into 3rd on the pitch that got her eye from the catcher, Beck. 2 balls for Hidalgo. Salazar was batting in this spot. Hidalgo, of course, took her spot defensively at 3rd a few innings ago. Chopper over to 3rd this time. Picked up, fired over by Jacobson to 1st. And a 5-3 put out for out number 1. Kennedy Meyer here in the bottom of the 4th. Meyer got her first at bat back in the 2nd inning. Ended that inning, however, though, with a strikeout. And first pitch comes in. Beck was able to block it up in front. Ball 1, though, however, down to the feet of Meyer. So a lot of substitutions coming in. About 3 or 4 of them in this game for the Scotties. Meyer watches a strike, belt high inside. Now 1-1 the count. Shelby Espy, since entering the fold as the pitcher in the 2nd inning, recorded 3 consecutive outs there, 2 strikeouts, including Meyer. Meyer chases after a high pitch and comes up empty with a strike 2. Espy did give up a run in the 3rd inning on just 1 hit, but a walk and an error in amongst that. Of course, giving up the double here to Donaldson in this frame. Meyer watches one low and in the dirt again. Now 2-2 the count. 1 away, bottom of the 4th inning. Donaldson at 3rd after the leadoff double. Here comes the pitch, and outside corner, called strike 3. And that'll be 3rd strikeout of the ball game for Shelby Espy. Cassidy Greer, 1 for 2, 2 runs scored, an RBI for herself, playing catcher in this ball game, batting leadoff. Greer had a good game 1, takes called strike 1. Grounded out, however, to the 3rd baseman her last time up. And that was the first time that she faced this pitcher in Shelby Espy. Greer, 2 for 3 game before this in game 1, out towards right center field. Center fielder goes after it, tracks it down. Shannon Brown hauls it in for out number 3. So leadoff double by Haley Donaldson doesn't pan out to anything. It's the first half inning that the Scotties don't get on the board, as Highland still leads it, though, as we go to the top half of the 5th, up 12-2. Scotties on top here in this one on the Scotty Sports Network.
Get all the latest news on Highland Community College athletics by checking out ScottyAthletics.com. From recaps of the latest game action, schedules, stats, player features, athletes of the week, and much more. All you need to know about Highland Community College sports at your fingertips at ScottyAthletics.com. Make sure to also follow us on Twitter at HCC Scotties and on Facebook.
Haley Donaldson returns inside the circle for the Scotties in this showdown, of course, in relief of Reagan Ham, who pitched very solidly in the first 3 innings of action for herself. Officially goes 3 innings, giving up just 2 hits, no runs, 3 strikeouts. She faced 12 batters during that time frame. Highland on the contest, producing those 12 runs they have on 9 total hits, and they've left 4 on base, have just 1 error in the ball game. KCK with 2 runs. They scratched those in the 4th inning on a 2-run homer by Jenny Mullins. Of course, they had 4 hits only, 2 errors, and 4 left on base. The Scotties, of their 9 runs, or excuse me, 9 hits, excuse me, the 12 runs they have, but of the 9 hits, a multitude of them have been extra base hits, 3 home runs, and 3 doubles as well. So 6 of the 9 hits for the Scotties have been extra base hits, 3 doubles, and 3 home runs in the matchup. At the top of the order, it's Natalie Cohen. 0 for 2 in this ball game, but has reached base safely once. Reached via an error to open up the contest in the top half of the first, which seems like an eternity ago. Pitch high and outside, ball 1 to Cohen. Not much change to the lineup thus far for KCK over the course of the game, outside of the pitching capacity. And Donaldson rifles one in, but it goes into the dirt. Ball 2 to Cohen. Cohen has proven to be a disciplined, gal at the plate. She was able to produce 3 hits in the first game of the doubleheader. Donaldson's 0-2 delivery on the way here in the top of the 5th. Trying to get that running slap hit start for Cohen, but no need to do so because the ball was well out of the strike zone. Ball 3. Donaldson winds and fires, and there for strike on a 3-0 delivery. Cohen back at it again here, 12-2 lead. Scotty's on top, 3-1 on the count to the second baseman. Chopped it foul. Now 3-2. Top of the 5th inning. Runner, and Cohen got on in the first inning, but nothing came of that. They got the top 2 gals to lead off the inning in the second inning on back-to-back singles, but nothing came of that as well. Went down in order in the third. First 3 gals reach base safely in the 4th. Slap hit over to the third baseman. Hidalgo rifles one there, and Hodap able to track it in over at first. 5-3 on the putout for the first out in the 5th inning. But back in the 4th inning, I was going back to chronicle how KCK has done over the course of the contest. But a single, then a 2-run homer. Got the 2 runs in the 4th, and a walk, but nothing happened after that. And, of course, one away here in the top of the 5th. For the Scotties, they batted around with ease in the bottom half of the first inning, scoring 8 runs on 4 hits and 5 walks. Pitch gets away from Greer, but nobody on base. It's ball 1 to Kaylee Jacobson. I had the 3-run homer by Sydney Anderson. I had, of course, the solo home run as well by Aubrey Hernandez in that 8-run inning to highlight things. In the second inning, they did not exactly bat around, but got 3 more runs on 3 hits, including a 3-run homer again, this time from the bat of Cammie Zimmerman. It's a 2-0 count here to Jacobson at the moment. And that's when, after that 3-run homer by Zimmerman, it was the 3rd different pitcher to enter the fold for KCK. She has remained in the game ever since then. Swing and a miss by Jacobson, now 2-1. And that's Shelby Espy. Espy's only surrendered 1 run, and that was a run that Kendra Baldridge scored in the 3rd inning for Highland on an RBI double by Sydney Anderson. Baldridge reached base safely after the right fielder could not catch a fly ball. Glanced off her glove for an error, and this one glances off the end of the barrel there. Strike 2 call as it's fouled back to the backstop. No runs scored, though, in the 4th inning, however. They had a leadoff double, of course, did the Scotties. Haley Donaldson's first at-bat of the ballgame, producing that double. But got to 3rd and then had to settle there. And this one shot right back on a bounce to Donaldson, and she'll flick it over to first base and able to get out number 2, 1-3 on the putout. So, new substitution in now to the lineup for KCK. Lincoln Shisho, I guess I should say. Lincoln taking the number 3 spot in the batting order and takes ball 1. Two away, top of the 5th inning. Highland on top, 12-2. Scotty's looking for the doubleheader sweep of the Jayhawk Conference Showdown here against KCK. Up next, dates on the road on the 16th against Independence, and then the 17th next day against Cali. Next home game won't be till the 19th against MCC Maple Woods. We'll have all the home games for you on the Scotty Sports Network. Maybe a select road game or two. We might make a road trek if possible, but next week I will not be on the mic for you for the softball matchups. I'll be making my trips with the basketball team, swinging a miss there for a strike, and 2-1 the count. Headed to Arkansas with the women's basketball team, to Danville, Illinois for the men's basketball team for the Scotties. Baseball will be next in action on the Scotty Sports Network this Saturday. This one fouled off and hits the top of the net. Now 2-2 the count. But coming up on Saturday afternoon, baseball team who was against Ottawa JV today will be in action against Fort Scott. Haley Donaldson from the circle again, fires it in. Little jam shot here, rolling down the third base line. Hidalgo charges, fires up, and knocks it over to first base. And that will do it. 5-3 on the putout. And 3 up, 3 down in the bottom half, or the top half of the 5th inning, as Highland picks up their 13th win of the season. We'll give you the recap right now here of the ball game and then sign off for the Scotty Sports Network. Of course, KCK got the first runner on an error, but got nothing of it in the first inning. Highland then did the run producing in the bottom of the first, scoring 8 runs on 4 hits and 5 walks at the bottom of the first inning, highlighted by a 3-run homer by Sydney Anderson and a solo home run by Aubrey Hernandez in the bottom of the first. They led 8-0 after 1. Highland added to that lead after getting out of a jam in the top of the second inning. They score 3 more runs in the bottom half of the second inning on a 3-run homer by Cammie Zimmerman. Add 1 more run on an RBI double by Sydney Anderson in the third frame. Looking at some of the final numbers, KCK scores 2 runs on 4 hits, 2 errors, and 4 left on base. The Scotties score 12 runs on 9 hits, 1 error, and 4 left on base. Highland today, 1 for 3 day by Greer, Cassidy Greer. 1 for 3 with 2 runs scored and an RBI in this showdown. Kendra Baldridge has 2 runs scored, goes 1 for 2 with a double, 2 RBIs, a walk, and reached on an error. Sydney Anderson had a strong game, a 3-run homer and a RBI double, so a 2 for 3 performance for her with 4 total RBIs. Aubrey Hernandez 2 for 2 with 2 runs scored and an RBI with a solo home run. Hope Eckley did draw a walk in her lone at bat of the contest. Alexis Hodop with a 1 for 3 performance with a run scored. Cammie Zimmerman with 2 runs scored today, 3 RBIs, a 3-run homer, and she went 1 for 2 in the showdown. Reagan Ham, she had a run scored and a walk. Haley Donaldson with the double for herself. Offensively for Serena Salazar, a run scored with the walk for herself. And that was the highlights offensively for the Scotties. Reagan Ham goes 3 innings of work, giving up 0 runs on 2 hits and struck out 3. Haley Donaldson finished off the matchup, surrendering 2 runs on 2 hits in 2 innings of work. So that's going to do it for us here on the Scotty Sports Network in this showdown. Of course, it's a Scotty sweep here today as Highland is able to get the victory and improve to 13-2 with the 2 wins. And now 4-0 on the season overall in Jayhawk Conference play. Thanks for my man Mose Halls for helping us out, and of course Carrie Fisher as well helping out in the first ball game, and everybody else that helps out on the Scotty Sports Network. That's going to do it for us, our broadcast today from Scotty Park. Highland wins it 9-4 and 12-2 for the doubleheader sweep over KCK. Thanks for listening on the Scotty Sports Network.